and I shall start sharing, guys. Okay, quick recap what we did last time, just to keep things in momentum. Okay, guys, what we did last time, we focused on series, which is annual worth. We spoke about single payment, and that was one transaction, as it is just movement back and forth. And we introduced mostly the annual series or uniform series. And according to that, we looked at what formula to be used, as well as what code or standard notation to be applied. As you can see, we have an item that changes according to what I'm trying to find, and an item that's constant. So I expect students to make mistakes in this area. However, I don't expect students to make mistakes in a common part. Why? Because it's I, comma, n, and we all know I and we know the n, making sure now we use a percentage to differentiate which is which. Both of them are numerical. How I differentiate as well, the order makes very important, specifically when I'm using Microsoft, it makes a big difference. So let's move on. If you remember, one of the items which are very critical to us is not just finding the present, which was 18,000. That was part of our duty. Our duty was actually to understand this number. We know it is called value, but in reality, it is the threshold of the company. Now, this threshold includes market change, includes their profit. I'm just saying, whatever being presented took into account your profit based on the common sense of engineering economy, or the common sense of economy. And that's for your profit, your market change. According to this, you should expect this much input. This input will reflect this output. So what is it important to me as a division head? I need to make decisions. So in future, when a chemical engineer person comes to me with any proposal, definitely he's going to say to me, it costs and it will give. So I need to know, before I say yes or no, what was the basis for my decision. We are not speaking about technical report. What was the basis for my financial decision? And I'll say, basically, this is my threshold based on a normal concept, input versus output. So this was my threshold that I based yes and no. And we said, if he came with a 20,000 cost, it's easy for me to say no, because if I have the 20,000, I will actually take the 18,000 and find a way that I'll have 10%, which will give me the same outcome as the guy. So therefore, what just happened? I'm using what I've been recruited for. I'm making decisions, not on technical basis, on financial. Now, if you're going to ask me how you made this financial decision, I'm going to say to you, I identified the threshold and then compared his problem with the threshold. Otherwise, you would be biased. How you would be making a decision 20 versus 25? If you remember, 5,000 multiplied by 5 is 25. Rationale to say to him no doesn't make sense. But if you have a threshold which you discover based on economy concept, then you can say to him no, as I'm using 10% as a threshold, therefore your proposal exceeds the threshold. Okay, so this is very important. At the end of the day, we are learning what is the number. What does it mean to me? As a post, it is a number for me to verify the word yes or no. So let's move on. We spoke about capital recovery. I have a capital I would like to recover, as you mentioned, over a certain period, which called installments. So find A given P. I'm trying to find out an amount that will recover my principal. Don't forget, we are not multiplying, recovering based on the economy concept. That means I should be considered. I'm not going to go to the fact that we should consider 1 year gap. Again, this is a very clear indication of the code or the standard deviation and the formula to be used. Today, so what are you going to be explaining to me today? I'm going to explain to you the relationship between the uniform series and the future. This is called the fund. fund محفظة. I want to do something in the future, but I want to prepare myself. Definitely, when you plan, you should have a preparation. So in this case, I would like to have a certain amount. I would like to have it. So what is my commitment? You know, my commitment. What is my commitment to ensure this? And why this is important in the engineering field, I'm going to elaborate later. First of all, we have to learn that the future amount coincide, that means should include the last A. Let me elaborate more. I don't want to see students go and subtract this part from my future amount. It's not about cleverness. This cash flow depicts my problem. So think about it. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 6 and this is 7. It makes a big difference if I'm in the project division and I don't know the project what it is and I'm not interested in it, and just see this. Find A given F at an I 6. If you go and you became so clever to subtract. Now this to me means that actually this part is going to be constant and I'm going to collect this, which is not true. So what you normally do, you include the 7. Because when I read a code, I want to read it right. Nobody have a drawing of a boat without the sea. And that's what you are eliminating a part of the problem, which is not right. So please, guys, do not think that by subtracting, you are doing a favor. You are actually tampering with the problem. You are tampering with the code. And as you know, when you tamper with one variable, everything changes. Okay? So what we learned just now is that how we draw a cash flow, making sure that everything is into perspective. What about the formulas? Like, wallah, according to the derivative, which we're not going to go in because it's not our duty to look at every formula, how it was developed. And this is the formula that will secure identifying A based on F given. What about the standard notation? Okay, we said this part is constant. So what I'm trying to find, you put A, automatically it goes at the start. And whatever you're giving me as a future goes in second. So what are my variables? I'm looking into the what is given, coding it, including my I, including my N. So I made sure now that I have a good representation in a simple format. And this is a complicated format. If you remember, if I had a chart, you remember we had a chart? I could just look at N and look at find A given F, and whatever is this number, just go and put it here. Is in a simple format. But how did you actually get this? Is only through looking at this code, which represents this column. And if you remember, I told you earlier, a chart is used to make our life easier. We have a calculator as well. We have as well Microsoft. What's important to me is what is the value here, so that when I multiply, I find out what is requested. So, moving onward. How about if I want to reverse? I am a person who gets a salary, and I would like to take part of my salary and set it aside. So I'm setting aside a given amount. This is what so actually what I should be collecting, and this is called, you are developing and you are converting a future to a uniform. Find F given A. Okay, guys? And don't forget, very important, what we're doing here. How do we present it? Formula, we just convert into the future. I'm trying to find the future given the A. What about how to write it again? We have a changing attribute based on what I'm requesting, and this is constant. Now, guys, I want your help. As you know, we're trying to be more interactive. And the only way is that for us to make sure we understand, comprehend, is to try to perform the task given. So here it says an engineer, industrial engineer, he wants to make a modification to a chip manufacturing process. So this is mechanical related topic. Now that will cost 200, and after 5 years, that means that this 200 reflects the 5 years. After, that means at the end. At an interest rate of 8% per year, how much should be deposited? Every year, that means I'm speaking about an A, to ensure having the fund. Now there is a problem. I can see a word of cost and I look at deposit. So both of them are negative. Doesn't make sense. Abdullah, please make sure to read the question clearly. Now, his modification cost. Where does the problem start? The problem starts that he would like to know how much he should deposit to ensure getting the 200,000. Again, as I mentioned, getting, having is what? So just don't look at the words and just take it and say minus 200, I'm going to draw the cash. No. Read the question, make sure you understand it, then start drawing. So let's look at the cash flow. Now, he wants to secure this amount. Secure it in a positive point. At what year? 5. And he's saying, I would like to know what should be deposited every year. So that means I'm working as it is every year, an annual series. Now, looking into fact, it is 8% threshold. This is what has been determined. So in reality, what just happened? This guy came to me and he said to me, as a project manager or a project division, please secure for me 200 in the future. And that's his job. As a technician, he came and he said what he requires, either to replace a part, modify. Now, it is my duty to communicate with management and tell them, I would like you to secure this much on annual basis. Well, why do you want Dr. Badr for this? I say to him, because I have a technician, he's planning to collect it so he can execute his modification. Now, this language, the technician or the engineer cannot speak it. That's why you study this course. You study this course so that when a person says to you, please plan. So what you have to do, you have to present the report, which is the technical, and what do you request? Are you going to leave this to management to find it out? Then why am I head of department? Why am I head of the section? If you're going to say to me, find it, did you just, did you take his request and you send it to me as it is? So why do I need you in this division? أقول لا. His request has been diluted into a language you would like to read. So that's why you are studying this course. Let's go back. Now, I would like your help to do what? Now, I would like you to write to me the standard notation. Okay, I'm going to take all of this out because this is the area I'm at. I'm trying to seek annuity so that I can ensure his fund. Okay, so let me put the variables. Okay, So guys, as you can see, and mashallah, students are doing it very quick. I need you to practice. The purpose is not right and wrong. And don't forget, in the future, if you would like, you're going to have an extra bonus, but it's all about practice. You're going to be having a quiz in a 2 weeks time period. So practicing now will make good time. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait, and then you're going to revise and so forth. Now guys, I can see most of you, all of you actually have done the right answer. So let's look at this. As you know, a standard notation, we keep the 200,000. We open a bracket. What I'm trying to find straight away, if you're keeping this, by default, find A given F. Now, refer back to my problem, 8%, refer back to number of years. So this is done. Let's go back to my question just now realized. According to this, I just discovered that management should secure from their annual profit. This is their task. I'm telling them secure. The same guy who said to me just now, he said secure 200. I need to tell them how much they should secure, and that's how it is. So I'm going to say to them, please secure for me $34,091.2. It's a complete project presented to them. Very concise, easy for them to comprehend. When they look at your standard notation, what they will see an I. They know that you are using what? Minj 300 course. That's why I said the basis of all what we're going to study is just this. Why do I say this? Now, if you remember, we started with terminologies and symbols. We only had so basically, if you remember, first chapter we said it's all about feasibility study. Yani yes or no. How do you determine? You remember? We said select sensitive techniques. Yani select one of these techniques to present your problem, so that I can come up with the best answer. There is nothing more. Throughout this chapter or throughout this course, there will only be 3 aspects, 3 tools. So you came to a decision based on these 3 tools. Why do I have an I? It means I'm taking value. Think there is no I, so there is only N. What you would do? You will multiply whatever is given to you. You would subtract, multiply, because you have an N. Once you put an I into the entire concept, it means these techniques are valid. So as I mentioned, the first 5 weeks are the most important. They are the basis. Now, whenever we go forward, you will only see these, nothing else. And you will have a standard notation to represent the problem. Okay, now let's become more mature. You are working in the project division, and you do not know who presented the problem, and you actually don't care, because it could be the maintenance department, it could be the the electrical department. At the end of the day, your assistant gave you the cash flow. So let's look at this problem. Can you please write to me the standard notation? I just need the standard notation because looking at the final answer, okay, what does he want? He wants total annual work. We'll keep it aside because you will need the formulas for this. Now, most important, if you remember, 8 marks will go on the standard notation. Can you have a try? Just have a try. I would like to have total. Now, you're going to say to me, Doctor, what is total? I will start to take into account the signs and make sure I have one outcome. So as you can see, the code will be lengthy. Upon the variables. So I'm going to give you, let's say, 3 minutes. Think about it. What I'm trying to do. I'm trying to convey this problem to my superior and saying, well, okay, from 0 to 8. Now we don't know what is the A is going to be up or down, but let's look at this. This is 1. So I'm saying to them, this is actually what the problem represents. My assistant, very well, he created the cash flow. Now I am completing his part and saying to management that this problem on annual basis, this is the application. Now positive, negative, at the end of the day, the implication. So can we do this? Can we act as a head of department, as a head of project division? Because this is now what's missing. And in order for me to make sure management have faith in me, they want to see, the standard notation. Why? They want to see, am I using the right format? Am I using LI? And that's the whole concept. So I'm going to give you all, make mistakes, no problem. We are here to learn. It's not about right. If it is right, you have all the answers in the book. So guys, have a try. I apologize, guys. It seems okay. Hey guys, I'm still working on this, so I'm going to look at all the answers. Once students be creative, then we can see what needs to be considered, how it was considered. Okay, where we stopped. So let's look at the answers given. First of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to erase everything that is not related to this. Let's start to look at the answers given. Okay, first of all, I have Fatma says 300 find A given F. 300 find A given F over 8 years plus 500. So what I think she did, she subtracted this from this. I'm just going to look at the answers given. And then I have somebody else says A plus 500 equals 300 find A given F. Another student says 700 find A given F. 10% 8. Now let's take this answer, which is just this part. Let me see it, which is Sayyid. Okay, Sayyid just did the following. Let's look at. He just said, in order for me to find an annuity to distribute this 700 as a positive, he said, find A given F 10%, what 8 years. Now, and then he said 400 find A given F. Now I'm going to go and look at other solutions so that make sure somebody says 300 find A given F, 300, 400 find P given A, find P given A. This one is Z. I understand what you are trying to do, but let's say 700 again, and 300 find A given F. Somebody made this. Okay, okay. Okay. First of all, subtracting both of them. What is it here? Subtracting both of them doesn't work. Why? 400 should be spread out over 8 years. Now, this is correct. You're spreading 7 over 8. So subtracting is not in the right manner. I saw some students, what they do, find A given F, 10%, 4. Let me change the color so that we can make it sure. So what he just did, he said to me, I'm actually going to distribute the 400, which is according to his problem. I'm going to consider I over 5 years. I'm saying to him, okay, excellent. However, what about this part? Should be 8, no? What I understand is the annual worth, if I want to spread it, 8. So I have an issue here. Another student says to me, let me change the color so that we can be all on the same track. Said, find A, given F 10% at 8. Doesn't make sense. Which one is F if you're looking at 500? And some students just kept it as it is, 500. Now let me just take this out. If you think about it as just 500, most of you have done that. What is the issue here? If you just consider this one as A, it means that this 500, I'm reading it as it is already distributed over 8, because you're telling me that this is A. If I'm going to add this amount to this outcome, which is spread over 8, it means that this is over 8. So all of you got this is imperfection. So what about these two? How do I solve it? How do I think about it? And I'm like, well, okay. You remember we had 3 techniques? We had 3 techniques? Well, yes. I go like, okay, Ma'ali, why do we make complications to ourselves? How about this? How about we collect this and take it to present? So find P given A at I over what? 3 years. What just happened? I collected it here. And what about this? Now, definitely I cannot do anything to it as an A. So how about we collect it and say find P given Fi, how many years? 4. So what just happened? Now this is positive and this is positive and this is negative. I'm going to have a summation. When I say, Dr. still we are looking at A, I'll be like, okay, very good. So let's say this is P1 and this is P2. How about this? A equals P1. You want to say minus positive minus P2. Let's look at that. Find A given P I over what? 8 years, which is just now. I spread it out. Add them up together. What are you going to get? Total A. We have to use the techniques we learned. The most important, what do I do? I want to make all the variables spread out throughout 8 years. In the scenario of this, I'm going to have a problem. Even if I say find A given F, what it's going to do? It's going to go all, backward. What about this? It will not present a distribution. يعني 400 was distributed over 4 years. أنا أقول لك 400 should be distributed over 8. What about here? We have the same issue. 500. It's only for 3 years. I will like, okay, fair enough. I know all the techniques. I know all the codes. So what just happened here? Everybody got this right. Let's start with where it was awkward. 500. Find P given A. 10% 3. What just happened? I represented this at this point. Now, when I put this, what just happened? I'm ensuring that I actually did the conversion. Find A given P over 8. Let's go to the 400, which is stands still by itself. Find P given F for 4. So let me change the color so that we are all on the same track. So what I just did now, I took this and I presented it here. So this is part of my problem. Okay, just by opening or adding an extra code, I actually achieved the annuity for 8 years. This will entail this number. Now, as I mentioned, if you learn the code, you can do anything with the code. If you are looking at this as a present to solve this issue, and then you're saying to me, well, Dr. Badr, you are asking me for A, and you are spreading it over. So whatever I collected here, I made sure it is what spread over. The same way that I made sure that this 700 is spread over. So what do I have at the end? Why do I put 0? Because it is 1. And we said, if you look at the time scale, the annuity is what? From 1 to 8. Moving onward. والله في واحد يقول دكتور, it's too complicated, you're making our lives complicated. How about this? How about this, Doctor? I don't like complications. I don't want this. It's too much. I'm not a 12-cylinder engine. I am 6. Well, Doctor, why don't we do the following? How about this? Let us all take this to 0 and then say find A given P. يعني, Doctor, why don't you do the following? Let me find first the present worth, 500, 400 و 700. كلها خلنا نودي مكان واحد. Don't tell me 7 بخاله بروح. Everything. خلنا ناخذ كل problem. All of the problem, throw it one place. And then you say, Doctor, okay, let's have the common factor. شو common factor? You want A for 8 years. So what you just did, you took the total present worth, and you said, okay, you want A, I'll do. You want F, Doctor? I can do F for you. Just make my life easy. I will like, wallah, if you like to do it this way, by all means. If you like to do it this way, you decide. The code is with you now. We need to meet in Manama. You are in Maharrak or you are in Isa town. At the end of the day, we need to meet a single place. And this is the place. How you go through which area, you go around it, this is not my issue. As long as you describe how you reach Manama. You want to describe it in this manner, or you want to describe it in this manner. Segregation. Well, it's up to you. It's entirely up to you. So now, guys, let's leave this issue of cash button. This relates to what? It relates to the calculator. It's too early. Some students still didn't purchase. I really recommend purchasing it. Why? You're going to end up with this number straight away. لاحظ شوف ما تعور راسك. If you don't purchase, by all means, you have all the formulas, apply them where you feel fit. So if you're still hesitating about the calculator, now I suppose you proceed with hard. Especially later on when you have a test, we expect you to use the calculator. If you're going to be using the formula, there is no harm. You just have to be very quick. So I'm going to stop here. Why I'm going to stop here, guys, is because it is enough for us. I don't want to overburden ourselves. Most important, what are we doing? Why are we learning? So I can finish this, but I don't want to do that. So I'm going to leave this, which is basically, it's nothing new. It just says to me, how about this, doctor? What about if I have constant increase salary أنا باخذ منه زيادة كل مرة, it's not fixed. Click OK, there is a way. Then the concept is there. So let's go and recap what we did today. Today, basically, I discussed the future work, and we learned about the concept of future. And why is it important for us? Is that whenever we have a problem, we know this number. What does it reflect? It reflects a conversion that will ensure this into my account. Why I ensured it? I'm using an 8%. So I'm telling management, find for you a fixed deposit for 8%, put the money, this money inside, I expect you to give me back after 5 years. That's what I give you the instructions. Okay, guys? Finally, what we did, which was new to us, we started to look at the complete picture, because this could represent a problem. It could say, I'm going to be having a machine, this is the income, then I'm going to have an overall maintenance, and then I'm going to sell the machines. I'm not going to go for details of the problem. I'm just trying to visualize what's going on. To me, it's important to find out this number to report back to management. Okay. Do you have any question, guys? Now, if you realize we cover a big part in about 25 minutes, and I don't want to exceed it. Okay? I don't want to exceed it. It's enough. We did a lot of today, a lot of things. Even though you answer, you gave good logical answers, and we rectified wherever necessary. So do you have any question, guys? Okay. In that case, I'm going to stop recording.